Mark Tereso, winner of the Excellence in Arts Drama Award, theater is in his blood.
I have a family of theater people. My mother used to play piano for theater. My father was a tech. He would build sets. My grandmother was a vaudevillian. So it kind of pushed me into that direction.
It wasn't until high school that he got bit by the acting bug after landing the lead role in the play You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. Theater soon turned into a creative outlet for Tereso.
Theater was a place where you could go to let out your creativity. And at a young age, when you're in high school, you're afraid of doing anything, that you'll be judged by the other people in high school. But in theater, everyone was doing that same thing together. So you weren't judged. You could be yourself and you could be someone else. You could have a good time, you could be goofy, and no one laughed at you.
Acting eventually led to directing for Tereso, who got his training at Lincoln Center Arts Council.
Early on in my career, I think I was in my early 20s, I had a chance to learn directing from the Lincoln Center Arts Council. And they said, we're having a workshop, it's going to be all summer long, would you like to join? And so I did, and I was very interested in all aspects of the theater.
Don't think they had zippers in biblical times, Miss Crow.
Tereso eventually became the house director for the Connecticut Acting Ensemble, where he directed over 30 shows in 6 seasons. He later moved from the East Coast to California, and he came across the Torrance Theater Company in 2001, where his first job was an acting role.
There were auditions for A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, a play that I absolutely love. And so I auditioned, and I got the role of Pseudolus, and that was my first role here with Torrance.
A few years later, Tereso landed a show director position for Disney Entertainment Productions, but eventually got around to directing plays for Torrance Theater Company.
Torrance had said that they wanted to put on Lion in Winter, which is a beautiful piece, very difficult piece because it's era-specific. And they asked me if I was interested in directing it. And so I said yes, and I did it here.
Torrance Theater Company asked him to direct again, this time with a much larger ensemble, for the piece Willy Wonka, which eventually led to an Excellence in Arts Award in Drama.
Willy Wonka had children and older adults flying in the air. And it made me a nervous wreck, of course, because I didn't know how we were going to go about that. They had everything planned from the very beginning, and the company came down and held all our hands, and we did it all together, and it turned out to be a beautiful moment in peace. Those are the things you're thinking about while you're directing, not awards.
Even with a larger cast, Tereso gained a lot of experience from directing Willy Wonka.
It was with a lot of kids, which is new for me. I love kids, but directing them, I haven't done that before, and I was so pleasantly surprised at the amount of talent that came through the door with these smaller kids who played very integral roles that were very difficult to do, and they were wonderful.
And he hoped the kids in the audience learned something after watching the piece.
Having the audience take that away, and especially the young kids who come to see it, they see that they are rewarded for being truthful, honest, and caring. That's an important thing.
Although Mark has done both directing and acting, he finds one to be more rewarding.
When I'm on stage, I love acting, but directing is kind of acting for everyone. You have to sit back and look at everyone's character and understand where everyone is coming from. So it's much more difficult. However, it's also much more rewarding because you get to tell the whole story from everybody's point of view.
These days, Mark has a packed schedule between directing for Disney and running his own theater company in Anaheim. It doesn't leave a lot of time for acting, but he recently came across an intriguing project with Torrance Theater Company.
When you're directing, it takes a great deal of your time, so I don't get a chance to act as often as possible. But I had fallen in love with this musical, Man of No Importance. It's an incredible musical, incredible story, beautiful music, and not many people know it.
Fortunately, even more people will know his name and work after winning the Excellence in Arts Award, which is very meaningful for him.
It validates all the hard work that you put into it, and you know that people enjoy it when they applaud at the end of the show, and then your job is done and you kind of walk away while the actors are giving all the applause. So it was kind of my own personal applause for a wonderful piece.
Along with directing for Disney, Mark directs 3 to 4 shows a year at the Gallery Theater in Anaheim, which he started, and he has some exciting projects for this year.
I had written a piece 2 years ago called The Final Confessions of the Infamous Kavanaugh Sisters. And I'm directing that. That will be in September at my theater. But I'm also talking with Gia and seeing what's coming up in the future, because I do love it here.
What is there to say? Pull the door and pack up the car. Will ye miss us, Saint Imelda?
You can also see him acting in A Man of No Importance with Torrance Theatre Company in spring. For Excellence in Arts, I'm Renee Ng.